Good evening. I'm so glad to get to speak to you today. I want to talk to you about something that happened to me just a few hours ago. Just a few hours ago, I did something that I didn't think I would do until I was close to 80 years old. I uttered those words that we kind of laugh at when we hear them on TV. Help, I've fallen and can't get up. You see, I was battling some nasal congestion due to my allergies, and so I turned my bathroom into a homemade sauna of sorts. And I was enjoying the steam rising up and kind of helping clear all that out. And as I sat on the side of my bathtub, enjoying my sauna, my spa day, if you will, my legs fell asleep and I didn't quite notice it. And so, when I stood up, I immediately fell. And I'm blessed in that I wasn't injured. But as I lay there on the tile floor, crawling towards the door, I realized something. Something that has gone through the mind of every minister, of every preacher, and every youth minister such as myself. There's a lesson here. And so I want to share with you the lesson that I got from the bathroom floor. I want us to look at Matthew chapter 14, starting in verse 22. This happens to be right after Jesus feeds the 5,000. Right after a great miracle is performed, now Jesus is about to walk on water. You see, it starts in verse 22. Jesus sends the disciples away while he finishes handling the crowd. They go ahead and they get a boat to go to the other side. And Jesus handles dispersing the rest of the crowd, and he goes up alone to pray. And then our scene shifts back to the disciples in the boat who are kind of worried. They're kind of afraid. You see, a great storm had come up, so much the wind was against them. And in the middle of the night, they look out and they see someone walking on the water towards them. Someone defying the laws of physics. Now, they had just seen a miracle, not even 24 hours prior. But they were astonished and afraid. In fact, the Bible mentions in verse 26, they were terrified, and they said, "Oh, it's a ghost!" But Jesus calls out to them and says, "Take heart, it is I, do not be afraid." And then Peter opens his mouth. You know, Peter kind of gets some flack for us sometimes. You know, he loses his faith here. He denies Jesus. But you see, Peter is a great lesson. He is a great lesson in just how much we can fail, we can mess up, and still be loved by our God. You see, Peter answers him. He says, "Lord, if it is you, command me to come out there." And Jesus does. And he gets out there and he walks to Jesus. But then Peter makes a mistake. In verse 30, it says, when he saw the wind, he was afraid. And beginning to sink, he cried out, "Lord, save me!" You see, Peter lost his footing in the same way that I lost my footing earlier today. Peter, when he lost his footing, began to sink. I just fell. But that's not where Peter's story ends. You see, he cries out and he says, "Lord, save me." And immediately, Jesus reached out his hand and took hold of him and asked him, "Oh, you of little faith, why did you doubt?" And they go and they get in the boat and the wind ceases. You see, Peter needed someone to lift him up in the same way that I did today. In the same way that we all do when we stumble and we fall. We need someone to pick us up. Maybe it's the storms of life. As the waves crash over you, as you deal with your interpersonal relationships, as you deal with family members and trying times and sickness, maybe you need someone to pick you up. I needed someone physical today, but we all need someone spiritual to lift us up. But I want us to look at what happens next. See, when we fall and we get picked back up, we now have another responsibility. It says here at verse 33, and those in the boat worshiped him, saying, "Truly you are the Son of God." Truly you are the Son of God. We must worship. We must give praise to our Lord when He lifts us up. You see, we need that footing so that we can, as Paul says later, run the race and we can finish it. If we lose our footing now, we're hopeless unless someone picks us up. So here's my challenge to you this week, Christian. I want you to do two things for me. And if you can do these two things, I'll be happy. Number one, I want you to realize when you fall, who picks you up. Yeah, somebody may help you. But you know what? When someone picks you up, they are embodying the Spirit of Christ. We wear the name Christian with pride. So you know what else I need you to do for me this week? This week I want you to see who you can lift up. If you want to wear the name Christian, act like Christ and lift people up. Thank you for your time.